All right, guys, back with another episode of the Workbench, your resource rich weekly podcast and newsletter for local business owners. Excited to have a friend, a collaborator, a customer on the pod. Ian, he's the founder of Wilbur Marketing. They're a productized marketing agency for local business, working with a couple different types of companies, home services, pet companies. Excited to dive into that. But Ian, thank you for coming on. How's your week been so far?
Been great. Been very busy in a good way.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
thanks for having me on. I'm excited to chat.
Yeah. No, 100%. So, yeah, man, just give the people a little background on you, the business you run and what you're working on.
Yeah, so I run Wilbur Marketing, like you were saying. So we are focused on the home service space. We're really focused on bringing kind of a large tech mindset to local services, small, medium-sized businesses. So my background has been in a lot of different chapters, but most recently I helped build growth marketing teams in the tech space. And so when my wife, now wife, and I bought our first home a handful of years ago, and we started having to find, the HVAC vendor or an electrician or, landscaping, I very quickly realized, being a marketer myself, how frustrating that interaction was to find a good one and to have them respond to your phone call or the whole process from a marketing and sales perspective was really uh, frustrating to me. And so as I started to explore going out on my own, I knew that I wanted to blend this home service space because I just felt like there's a lot of opportunity here with kind of that growth technology minded approach, and how could we make that attainable for small, medium sized businesses? Because historically, uh, you kind of have different levels of marketing knowledge and access. And it typically is because of the amount of spend you're running on a monthly basis, the access you have to team and knowledge. And so I was just like, what would it look like if we could bring some of that down, kind of down market for people that have the most importance or impact on our daily lives?
Great. So what services are you well, let's first start with your clients. So what type of businesses are you working with? Is it plumber, HVAC? Like or do you have a niche? Talk to us about the type of clients you serve.
Yeah, we niche down specifically to home services, and then beyond that, we keep it decently broad. So we have a spectrum of clients in the HVAC plumbing space, all the way over to fence installers, as well as chimney sweeps, and kind of a lot of different things you wouldn't even expect that you probably haven't even thought of. So we keep it pretty broad in that sense, but we do tend to gravitate towards similar industries as we get more and more clients there. It just allows us to, iterate quicker with those clients and share insights across that portfolio, so that, a plumber in Oklahoma can have the same insights that we're getting with a plumber, say, in Atlanta. A lot of the same tenets apply. There might be some differences in approach, but we can share those insights and everyone wins that way.
What services are you primarily focused on? Is it ads? Is it SEO? Are you building websites? Everything? What typically are you delivering to these folks?
Great question. Yeah, so we focus on, we call our services the lead flow packages. So anything that relates to having control over scaling your lead volume is how we qualify if this is a feature or a service that we want to include in our packages. So what that means is, a lot of the traditional channels, I call them traditional now, but digital channels that you're used to, you know, paid search, social ads, LSAs now, local SEO, a lot of those services are included in most of our packages. But we're looking forward into other trackable, scalable channels that might have more growth opportunity, meaning it's not fully diluted yet with everyone. So connected TV is a really big opportunity that we'll be launching soon in some of our higher packages. as well as, say, direct mail is a very popular offering that a lot of our customers use already. And so we're bringing kind of that tech approach to direct mail as well. So really, we're just looking at how can we do traditional channels better and more efficiently, and then use some of those typical digital channels and add our strategy on top of that.
Connected TV is a first. That's a channel I'm pretty familiar with, just from like the ad tech space and some of my time at companies like TikTok. But I think rarely do you hear about connected. You can think of the traditional commercial, Brian's Plumbing, come on down, whatever, on local news. But I think connected TV and that whole space is pretty nascent, particularly for home services. So what have you? How deep are you into exploring that? What are you seeing there as an opportunity for local businesses?
Yeah, I think done correctly and for the right, home service company profile, it makes sense. It's not the first place I recommend going for a lot of our initial customers that come to us. Uh, it typically I am reserving it for, okay, we've kind of maxed out some of our other channels that are the quickest wins or the most efficient wins right now to get you kind of in that cadence of lead growth. And then we explore, okay, how do we expand beyond those channels that we've maxed out, but also be focused on a trackable end result that we can, port into our dashboarding and actually know what the efficiency is. And so connected TV versus what we call linear TV, which is, old school, typical TV, allows us to be able to see some of that data, and that's why it's interesting to us because it's another channel. Not a lot of people are harnessing the self-serve connected TV opportunities that are emerging. They've been around for a while, but they're still very, very new in the sense of the marketing landscape. Uh, and so we're just looking at how we can do that for kind of I would say like I kind of bucket home service companies locally into a couple different tiers. So you have the people that are just starting out, maybe a year old to 3 years, depending on how fast they like to grow. Those smaller home service crews. And then you have that middle tier, which a lot of people live in, anywhere from 500,000 in revenue or 1 million in revenue to a few million in revenue. They've really hit their stride. They might have a couple crews, and then you have the leaders in the space, and then the people trying to push off the leaders, and that's getting in that 5 plus, 10 plus, 20 plus million a year in higher echelon markets. And those are the people or the customers that we work with and look at and say, okay, we've maxed out some of these other channels. Let's look at connected TV. Let's look at some other interesting opportunities. And that's going back to like my growth, team building days where it was like basically my day was, okay, find new channels, see if they're efficient or if they're dogs and we don't want to run them anymore. And so that's kind of that mindset that we bring.
Now you're doing something interesting where the traditional agency model and agency I've run before is you set a 2 to 3 to 5 thousand, maybe more retainer, and you say you're going to do XYZ for the client, and it's kind of ambiguous, and you hope that you can drive the end result for the client in a way that they're earning more money than the retainer. So yeah, you're shaking your head. Tell me about the productized agency model and how you're thinking about pricing, packaging, and delivering a service in comparison to the traditional retainer model most agencies use.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why we did it this way. One is because I've been on the agency side in my past career and in-house. Um, Most agency experiences that I had were terrible. There was one point where I was actually curled up on a ball, uh, basically crying at the office because I was having like heart palpitations because the stress and every client has different desires and scope of work and deliverables. And somehow the team is supposed to manage that correctly and efficiently. Meanwhile, the client doesn't really know what they're getting. And they keep pestering you. And it's just and then the agency is like gaslighting them. And it's just, a terrible dynamic. So I've lived with that experience. coming in-house at the tech companies and some of the other companies that I worked at fired a lot of agencies for those exact reasons. And so moving into Wilbur as we see it today on the productized service, my biggest focus was transparency. I don't want to be the guy with all the answers. I want to be the guy that's going to figure it out and work in parallel, lockstep with our customers, because marketing is not black and white. It is very much in the gray. There are no answers. There's just hypotheses that you can test. And so we wanted to make that carry through into our packaging. So you can go on our site, you can see our packages. Those are what we offer. Take it or leave it. I appreciate you. It's no hair off my back if it's not the right fit for you. So we wanted to structure the packages in the same cadence of the prospects we talk to and really where they're at in their stages of business. And so not only does it make it transparent for our customers, but it allows our team to efficiently, resource accordingly so that we can spend a maximum amount of time on every account and make sure that the results that our clients need are the ones we're actually giving them, not just a deck every month that says like things are great.
What are the 2 to 3 most common mistakes that you're seeing your customers making or your clients making before they sign up with you? And those 2 to 3 quick wins that you look at their website or you look at their processes and you're like, hey, let's get this done for them in the next 36 hours because they're immediately going to get more leads, right? And so what are some of those things that someone listening who runs one of these businesses can look for on their website that you often see or in their lead process in general?
Oh man, just two or three. So
Or more if you got them.
yeah, I would say there's a handful of things that come up almost every time we talk with someone or we onboard. And it kind of goes back to we won't even take on a new customer unless we feel like their website um, is actually going to convert well. And so if it's not, we make that recommendation. We have partnerships on the website front to help make that happen as part of a kickoff phase. So what I would say is making sure that their website is in a position to actually convert. Um, that can mean a lot of different things. I mean, there's a user experience side of that equation. There is the copy and the way you structure, what you're saying and what you're offering. And then there's also the technical side of just making sure that all the different ways that your leads are submitting information is seamless. There's no bugs. There's no issues. Like we need to make sure that that process is super, super tight. So we see that all the time. Bryan, kudos to you and your team on what you're doing because since we include that in all of our packages now, um, it's also a safeguard to ensure that if, X type of way that they're submitting, say a traditional contact form is not optimized or ideal, we're going to work with them to figure that out. But we're able to plop, lead truffle on the site very quickly and have a good insurance policy that that's going to capture a really good percent from a conversion standpoint um, for any type of website. So really focusing on conversion rate optimization, ensuring that we have at least an opportunity for success there is important. Um, Tracking, we ask a lot of questions up front with our new customers on, how many leads they're getting, where they're coming from, what's their conversion rate, what's their average acquisition cost, things like this. Typically, a lot of them don't have great visibility into their data. And so, that's what I love doing the most is like taking that initial onboarding information from them and then just working with them month over month to get closer to better information so that we can make business decisions, not just how we're going to market better. So really understanding their data is a huge part of that.
Let's talk data because I know previous Workbench guest Alex Lathery is working on some stuff here for his painting business, and I know you've started tinkering with some stuff. And I've met other agency owners and business owners who are like, man, and this is just part of the modern software landscape. Like my data is so many places. There's obviously Looker, and there's these BI tools that can, allegedly connect all your data sources, but that's hard even for the Series C SaaS company to get right, let alone the HVAC company or the plumbing company. So how are you thinking, and like what are you working on in relation to aggregating these disparate data sources? And then secondary question on that is, the data, data is only as good in my opinion as the actions and insights that it drives. So you can have this beautiful data and like these beautiful dashboards, but if it's not informing the actions you're taking, is it really having an impact? So like, yeah, would love to hear about the data dashboard stuff you're thinking through, and then what those insights that you're garnering for your clients are.
Yeah, you said it very well. I think a beautiful dashboard is worthless if not getting you the answers you need to take action on a monthly basis at a minimum, or a weekly basis, or what have you. Um, yeah, you said it well. There's a lot of different tools. There's a lot of different data centers, and they all don't talk to each other um, at all, to most degrees. And so when we were starting here, I think we have those traditional dashboards that most agencies do. And I just didn't feel like it was enough, in my opinion, on telling the whole story on what our customers are getting from not only our services, but more so just the marketing channels that they're running on. And again, going back to my tech days, there's custom attribution models, there's 20 different dashboards telling, a bunch of different really interesting stories. And I was like, okay, is there a way to take some of this big data effort and boil it down? And so that's what we've been actively working on. It's one of the biggest projects that I spearhead internally, is how can we take some of the most popular CRMs that are being used, right, and integrate with our data modeling so that we can process and match that to our lead, different lead sources, to visualize not only what your return on ad spend is, but also get closer to, on a per customer basis or on a timeline basis, what your returns are, so that you can actually have real data. Because I think traditionally marketing companies will say your cost per lead is this, and you've lowered your cost per lead by 10% or whatever. Great, that's great. But then how does the cost per lead translate to CAC, right? And like, how does that translate into return on ad spend? That's what I care about. I don't give a crap about how much your lead cost is, because I don't care if I'm sending you $5 leads. If they're not converting to real dollars, booked jobs, then I don't give a crap. Like, I'm not going to hide behind a cost per lead number, because that means nothing to a real business. And so that's what we're trying to build better reporting on. So we're basically matching your customer database with our lead sources. And then we sprinkle on a nice custom Wilbur marketing attribution model that takes into account not only digital channels, but also other marketing that you're using traditional. So if you're spending money on billboards, or you're spending money on traditional channels, we bake that into the model so that you can get a better picture of each customer. That was really geeky, I know. Sorry.
No, great insights. Now, I know I run an AI company for home services, and you use it for some of your customers. So, not a leading question for you to talk about lead shuffle by any means, but I ask everyone that comes on how they're using AI for themselves internally, and for your clients. And so, it's a hot topic for me. It's a foregone conclusion that AI is an extremely powerful tool, and if you're not, I just use it every day. From everything from a question about my daughter's eye looking red to flight times from Austin to JFK. Like, it's just my go-to for, and then there are so many business things as well. How are you using AI internally at Wilbur at all, if you are at all? And then for your clients, have you seen any like good AI use cases that are driving good results for them?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, great use cases
Yeah.
what we're doing together
Right. Right.
with
Yeah.
lead truffle. So
Yeah.
that, I mean, that's been an amazing efficiency gain,
Outside
not
of
only,
that, yeah.
yeah, not only from, I wouldn't say this too. Literally, it is
Yeah.
saving our, clients and customers money and time, not only on the lead side, but also on the just like sales process and ops side. Uh, yeah, we harness AI daily in everything we do. I mean, if you're not, you're going to be left behind. So from, creative or inspiring creative or getting great drafts of creative going, it's a trust but verify, you know, type of situation. I tell my team harness it, but also don't forget that creative is important. And I don't think the AI models we have are quite there yet on kind of the creative side of the muscle. And so ensuring that we don't just, regurgitate, AI driven content to lead any of our efforts is really important. But you would be silly not to harness that to get there. And then I will say on the other side is what I'm spending a lot of time doing is looking at how AI search and all of that is going to be impacted with going back to attribution and kind of the funnel. If you I hate using the word funnel, but the funnel, if you will, on acquiring customers into the future, because we all use ChatGPT or a different type of service, probably on the daily now, right? So knowing that that isn't a viable channel. I mean, we got a customer last week from them searching in there versus traditional search. So knowing how we can better attribute to those channels from a marketing reporting standpoint, and then also how we can be the first to optimize for those channels too in our marketing is going to be probably the land grab.
Yeah, I think the AI search is so interesting and compelling, and it's something we're trying to crack for Lead Truffle as well. And it seems that at some point, ChatGPT would have some level of tracking that, UTM or whatever, a little outside my knowledge. But the idea that if someone clicks from ChatGPT to your website and then there's a conversion, I would imagine that will be tracked at some point. Are you doing anything specific for your business and or your clients on the AI search side? Is there any recipe or insight you can share on how to become present on those?
Transparently, yeah, we're still sorting out the best modes there. I mean, you can traditionally see referral, right? But that's only a very small percent of the equation because uh, it's interesting because like AI search, right? They might refer your site as a source, but a lot of people will then go direct once that referral in the response is made. So understanding how we can find ways to connect the dots is going to be a huge opportunity. But yeah, we're still working through that.
So thinking about the future, I know Wilbur marketing's relatively new, right? How long have you been at it for?
Yeah, in this iteration, we have been around for about a year, a little
Okay.
year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
in the iteration of just focusing on home services.
Yeah. So how are you thinking about, Wilbur marketing? Is it channel expansion? Is it service expansion? Is it working with other types of businesses? What's going through your head as you think about the next couple of years for the business?
Yeah, we're very focused on focusing on we're very focused on making sure we stay in the home service space. Uh, what we're thinking about doing is just expanding on the service front or the feature front, we like to call it. So, like I said, connected TV is coming out here soon in the coming months. That will be beta testing with our existing customers, and then rolling that out as a proper part of one of our service tiers, as well as direct mail or Wilbur Post. So, we're just looking at how we can constantly add efficient channels to drive lead volume. If it's not driving leads, we're not going to do it. So, there's a lot of marketing out there. We're focused on the lead side of the equation.
Yeah, I think Yeah, the current channels they're just saturated. It just is what it is. There's a lot of people that want to build businesses. Facebook makes it very easy. Instagram makes it very easy. It's pretty easy to set up cold email campaigns. So looking at those non-obvious channels, for me, I'm thinking a lot about in person. I'm thinking a lot about meetups, thinking a lot about content. Obviously, here we are recording content. So yeah, it's just a matter of zigging when people are zagging. The other thing I did want to ask you before we wrap up is, I think, Ian, the way I found you and we got connected was your video. Yeah, I've worked in video production at a startup. I was at a startup that focused on that. I know my way around Premiere and Final Cut. I love making videos. I was making videos when I was in middle school. I just think video production is really fun and interesting. And so when I saw your commercial, essentially, that was, we'll link it in the show notes. Super hot, like it literally looked like a Super Bowl commercial. Is what I think I said to you. Like super stuck out, particularly in this home services local business game. So what was the inspiration, and how did you even know how to go about generating such a high quality production? I mean, that thing looked like it could be on TV. So what was the thought process, and yeah, how'd you go about making such a high quality commercial?
Well, thank you. That makes me very happy, very proud of that ad and what we did there. As we were working on pivoting to productized services, I knew that we needed to not, basically to your point, zag when everyone's zigging or whatnot. And I kept getting served with every marketing bro under the sun with a selfie video saying the same thing. And I was sick of it. And I was like, this can't be working. If it is, it's not the type of thing I want to be doing. And so I kind of went to our team and was like, okay, what does it look like to do something different and something funny, something that stands out? It resonates with kind of how I approach life. Uh, and we can touch on all the services that we want to focus on. And that's the byproduct of, what you see there. My background, I have background in video production as well, kind of on the higher kind of production level. So I wanted to do something that kind of felt more polished, more put together, but was fun. And it's been working great.
Amazing. Ian, people that want to potentially work with you and or connect with you personally on social, where can they find you? Website, Twitter, LinkedIn, all that good stuff.
Yeah, easiest way is, go to wilbur.co to find out what we're doing over there. And if you want to look on Twitter or X, just find me, Ian Hoyt. I like to post there every now and then. Uh, and yeah, if you want to have a conversation, my biggest thing is let's just chat. Happy to help, point you in the right direction. If you're trying to take this on yourself, or if you're in that growth mode, I just geek out to this stuff, so would be happy to give some insight.
Ian, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
It's great.